Let's talk about spiritual bypassing. In the world of awakening, spiritual bypassing has a very negative connotation. It's synonymous with avoidance and not dealing with life. But I think it's actually more sophisticated than this and worthy of more analysis. That's what we're going to do today. It's a very powerful tool with limitations. So to understand what a spiritual bypass first, we're going to look at what a bypass is in general. I always think of the Langley bypass because I'm from Vancouver and I used to take that road all the time. If you don't live in Vancouver, this probably doesn't mean much to you. But the Langley bypass, or a bypass, is a path around that saves you time and energy. So if you are driving through the Lower Mainland and you want to get from one side of Langley to the other, you could drive through traffic, but that's slow because the pace of driving, everything slows down. There's a lot of stoplights. And so they built a road that goes around, that avoids the traffic of downtown, called the Langley bypass. And it saves you time. You can get to the same from point A to point B faster if you go around. And a spiritual bypass is very similar. It's a strategy, a technique or a strategy, an orientation that has you get from point A to point B very quickly. A very common spiritual bypass is to shift our focus and essentially our identity from our body and our thoughts and our feelings and the content of our life circumstances, to the experience of being aware. So this is a very common teaching. It's a foundational teaching in many traditions, is to shift our focus to the experience of being aware. And we have, in doing so, we have moved away from the thinking, the feeling, the body experience to awareness. Now, the advantages of this are that there's no problems in awareness. There is just an endless amount of time and space. There's no reactivity, no resistance, no fear, no pain. Everything's sort of perfect over here in awareness. And it's fast. Especially in the modern, in the growing world, it's very easy actually for most people to recognize these qualities of awareness and to have a profound sense of peace and well-being quite quickly and easily. And that's beautiful. That is a wonderful thing. So instead of having to improve our life circumstances or heal from the pain that we experience, or empty our body of negativity, or improve the quality of our relationships, we have bypassed all of that. And now we are over here in a place where everything is fundamentally okay. Now, the challenge, the limitation of a spiritual bypass is it's different than the Langley bypass. It's different from driving from point A to point B. Consciousness is not fundamentally about getting from point A to point B. It's expanding into all points. So when I drive my car, I'm not expanding from Surrey into Langley into Cloverdale into Chilliwack I'm not becoming bigger. I just have to get to where I'm going. So bypasses has no limitations. But in consciousness, I'm not going from point A to point B. I'm not going from this dimension. I don't travel to another dimension. I don't go to another place. I expand into more of myself, which means that even if I'm able to bypass all of the content of my body, of my mind, of my relationships, and the subtlety of consciousness, it's still going to be there. Being in awareness is not going to get rid of or transform or have a significant transformative impact on the content of my body and mind. It is a tremendous resource. There are so many advantages to being able to bypass that temporarily or to be able to access parts of higher consciousness. But I have not escaped all of the stuff that's over here in life. I will still have to deal with it. Now, there is a belief or a thought that somehow if I just stay over in awareness, somehow it's going to radically start a process which allows all of this stuff to move and supports the transformation. There is a belief, and I agree with it in part, that shifting our focus into awareness or any other quality of consciousness that we're bypassing towards. Again, there's many qualities of consciousness. You can watch the videos that I have on all the qualities of consciousness and strategies to get there. There is a belief that bypassing will start a radical transformative process. But in my experience, that is very limited. It's pretty rare that it would create a very intense transformation that somehow would work all on its own. And even if it did, that would require a huge amount of time and effort just sitting there, being aware, and allowing a process to unfold. So for most people, shifting our focus into awareness is not going to catalyze the movement of all the other things in our life that are going to need to move. The resolution of pain and trauma, of the karma that we have accumulated, you could say, and embodiment. Again, I encourage you to watch the video I did on embodiment recently. Very important, foundational to the work that I do and to awakening. So instead of creating a complete transformation, a radical shift in consciousness, most people who learn to shift their focus of awareness are going to experience a profound sense of peace and well-being, but are not going to have the skills or the orientation yet to transform all of the content, all of the life that they have bypassed. So whether you access awareness or not, you are still going to have to develop all of the skills to change your life, to improve your life, to have better relationships, to have a better job. Culturally, in spirituality, teachings that only focus on spiritual bypass tend to under-promote this. They tend to really over-promote this recognition of the state of spaciousness, of awakeness, of being aware, and under-promote all of the stuff that lies in between, all of the content of life. And so one of the challenges culturally is that I believe spiritual bypassing promotes a kind of a hierarchy of levels or content of life, meaning it becomes culturally encouraged to be here and culturally discouraged to be over here. And for seekers or people who are looking for transformation, that can support or can create a kind of inner conflict, which means people are always trying to be in the experience of being aware, and because they don't have the skills and the cultural supports to actually engage with their lives, they learn to avoid. So this is, I believe, where the challenges come in with this strategy, is because we don't create the cultural support for the really gritty human relating and feeling part of life. And as a result, in seekers, there tends to be a developed avoidance and even a dismissing of these qualities of life. And ultimately, that leads to getting stuck, because to really go further, to deepen it, to expand even further in our spiritual practice, all of the content of life, all of the stuff that we experience day to day, all of the things that we feel are going to have to move in a radically transformative way. So the alternative is not to avoid looking for higher spiritual experiences. The solution to this is not at all to avoid shifting your focus to awareness or any of the other higher qualities of consciousness. I encourage you to do that. I teach that. I think it's really fundamentally important. The solution is just to encourage, to continue to promote, as I am right now and continuously do, to promote engaging with the content of your body, of your mind, of the past, of the trauma and the substance of life that is here, the sort of human soil which we all are arising and developing through, to really create the cultural conditions to promote engaging with this content, that it is healthy and supported and beautiful and really important to the world that we live in. So that's it. I think I covered it all. That is spiritual bypass in a in a YouTube video in a summary. So again, it's a really beautiful phenomenon, the ability to shift our focus, but it is incomplete, and we have to develop a whole suite of skills, not just being aware or not just being in the higher qualities of consciousness, but also being grounded in our bodies and relating to the substance, the soil of our humanity, our bodies, our energy, our needs, our pains, our drives, everything that makes us human beings. This is here too, and can never be removed, can never be deleted. It's here to stay. So let's enjoy it. Let's put our attention into it. As always, I teach this as kind of integrated approach. This is the work that I do. I teach about consciousness and all the ways in which you can have transformative experiences, revelations into the nature of reality. And I also teach the skills how to be in relationship, to feel your body, to have your needs met, to meet the needs of others. It's this integrated approach which I emphasize. And to do so, I offer free events, paid courses that emphasize or focus on different elements of this vast experience that we are having together called consciousness. If you want to know more about my events or paid offers, again, you can look into the description of this video where there are the links that you need. And again, I really encourage you to watch the latest video that I did, especially on embodiment, that gives a lot of the information about this process of landing in the body and how radically transformative it can be. That's all for now. Thank you. Hope this helps.